And a good Sunday morning to our league. I got my coffee here ready to do another video. There's a lot to talk about. We've almost finished our first week of the preseason here. We got 2 games today that probably nobody cares about, quite frankly. I know I don't care about them. But there's a lot of news happening here. I mean, first and foremost, obviously the Ezekiel Elliott suspension. I don't want to sound like a prophet, but let's be real here. A blind man in the dark with the sound turned off could have told you that guy was going to wind up getting suspended. So that's why I wasn't keeping the guy. I said all along I was doing the David Johnson thing. I thought that guy was a lot more of not only a great player, but a safe keeper for that matter. Now, what this does to Elliott's draft stock, that's up to you guys. So y'all figure out if you want to take a chance on the guy missing 6 weeks. Now think about that. Am I going to roll the dice for 6 weeks and say, okay, I'm going to load up on running backs early in the draft, miss out on receivers, possibly miss out on a great quarterback or tight end? That's up to you. Who's going to be the guy? I was watching Matthew Berry this morning, and he was saying Darren McFadden is pretty much the guy. I think that's the logical go-to on that, but you got to be careful. This could also be a committee situation. I mean, they've got Ronnie Hillman, they've got Alfred Morris, they've got this Rod Smith guy who allegedly has looked good in the preseason. I haven't watched a whole lot of the guy, but I'm hearing good things. That could muddy the waters. I mean, they could really run, 2 or 3 different guys every game. So who knows? But we'll wait and see what happens. McFadden and Morris pretty much split time in that preseason game, and basically Morris looked like garbage. He had like 2.2 yards a carry. McFadden, on the other hand, 4.7, but neither one of them just really broke one and exploded. A non-story, Marshawn Lynch sits for the national anthem. Who cares? Why are we still talking about this crap? I don't care if Marshawn Lynch falls asleep on the bench on the sidelines during the anthem. That has nothing to do with me. If the guy doesn't want to stand, then he doesn't want to stand. So, non-story. The other big news is Sammy Watkins trade. That's what they're calling it. I'm looking at this thing here, and I'm saying, okay, here's what the Bills got. The Bills got E.J. Gaines, pretty doggone good cornerback. Young guy. He's still developing. He's looked good so far. They got Jordan Matthews. He's been a solid receiver over in Philadelphia. Now, will that translate to Buffalo? I mean, who knows? I mean, when you change teams, sometimes different systems mess with you. You're not that good of a player when you get over there. But he's been good. He's never had a 1,000-yard season, but he's always been kind of the number 2 guy, So my hunch is his talent level is probably still at a number 2 level. Yes, Sammy Watkins is explosive. He's talented. He's great. He stays hurt a lot. I don't trust the guy at all. I'm worried about that guy's injury problems. I'm thinking he's going to wind up being one of those guys, really talented guy that just can't stay on the field. And it does not matter how good you are. If you cannot be on the field, you're useless, especially in fantasy football. So you're more of a hindrance than a help in fantasy football. But the Bills, they pulled in a pretty big haul for this. They got a second-rounder from the Rams, and they got a third-rounder from the Eagles in this upcoming draft. Now, the real losers here, the Eagles got Ronald Darby, and that's it. Well, he sucks. He's been nothing but an overrated bust since he come out of college. I mean, the guy has, in 2 seasons, he's just generated a couple of interceptions. That's it. Ronald Darby, Eagles got robbed, man. Absolutely robbed. Giving up Jordan Matthews and a 3rd-round pick just to get Ronald Darby in return. Now, what Buffalo does with that 2nd and 3rd-round pick, who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens with that. They may draft crappy players that don't pan out. I'll give you another example. So Kansas City got 2 draft picks in this last year's draft from the Buccaneers in exchange for Roberto Aguayo. So the Bucs traded up to draft a kicker that, by the way, I want to point out, they released today because he missed an extra point and a field goal. And the guy, that's all he's done is miss field goals since he came in the league. His career's over. He sucks. Drafting a kicker in the 2nd round is preposterous to begin with. But looking back at what Kansas City got for those 2 picks, they got Kevin Russell and Eric Murray. Kevere Russell out of Notre Dame, cornerback. They didn't even keep him. They third-round pick that they drafted, and then they promptly released in, I think, week 1 or week 2 of the preseason. Cincinnati picked him up. He didn't do anything over there. Eric Murray, some of you Gophers out there, you might really be like, okay, Eric Murray, he's a great guy. He played for us, and he may be. He may develop into something, but so far in KC, he hasn't really done anything but ride the pine. We'll see what happens. Now, getting back to what I said, it depends on who you draft. What the Chiefs could have drafted was 2 guys that I was really interested in for Carolina, LaRaven Clark, and granted that's obviously that's selfish. I mean, I like the guy because he's a Red Raider, but he's been pretty good after his rookie season. He started 3 games in his rookie season. And then the other guy I was real big on, Miles Killebrew out of Southern Utah. He went at 111. Miles Killebrew looked pretty doggone good for Detroit last year in his rookie year. He's a big guy. He's like 6'3", 225 pounds. He's got that Dayon Buchanan, Shaq Thompson kind of hybrid safety linebacker thing going for him. I knew Carolina wasn't going to take him because they'd just taken Shaq Thompson a couple of years earlier in the first round. Why are you going to take a carbon copy player, in the 2nd or 3rd round, or even 4th where he fell to, which I thought he was kind of a 3rd-round talent, and we should have took him there. Which we drafted Daryl Worley. He sucks. So, over Killebrew, but still. Those were guys Kansas City probably looking back at it might say, hey, maybe we should have took those guys. Maybe they would have been better picks. And who would think maybe that would be pretty cool having LaRaven Clark on the Chiefs and then drafting Pat Mahomes, a year later and having him up there. And how about that Pat Mahomes, huh? His debut, 7-9, 46 yards and a touchdown. He looked pretty good. They were saying he was up and down in the in training camps and stuff, and they were saying, oh, he looked great in 7-on-7 drills, but when we're going game situations and stuff, he hasn't looked that good. Well, granted it's the preseason. Granted he came in the 3rd quarter. Granted he came in against garbage defenders that probably won't be in the league soon, but the thing we want to focus on is he looked good. He did not look bad. He looked like a 10th, a 10th overall pick. 7-9, that's pretty good completion percentage, but that's normal in the preseason. So let's not all get jazzed and crown the guy. To quote Dennis Green, if you want to crown him, then crown his ass. But so we're not going to crown him just yet. But I thought that was pretty good news that we had going on there with some of these things. Let's look at some of these scores here. Let's talk about some of these games that we've got going on right now. I mean, there's a lot of them under our belt so far, and we got 2 of them, like I say, today that are happening. I mean, we got Denver over Chicago, 24-17. That's one of those things that I kind of look at and like, is there anybody that we really care to watch in that game? I mean, sure, there's, you're looking at it and saying, yeah, there's the guy they drafted, Trubisky, and from what I hear, he looked pretty good. I still say Chicago was nuts for drafting Mitch Trubisky. I just think that was a foolish move, trading up to get a guy that they could have had. I don't believe for a second that San Francisco was going to draft that guy. Not one single second do I think that they were going to take him. They had their mind set on who they were going to get, and I think they somehow bluffed Chicago into trading up one spot, just one spot. I mean, you are giving up stuff to go one spot. Now, I've talked about this before with people that know me. I just think it was foolish. Chicago, even if the guy turns up to be pretty good, you didn't even have to trade up to get him. You could have gotten him, and the fans are already not behind him. So I'm going to move on from that. Carolina beat Houston. That's good for me, I guess. We'll see what's going on with old selfish Cam, as the season goes on. At what point, if we start to fall behind in games, does he start quitting like he normally does? Miami and Atlanta. Miami beat Atlanta 23-20. You got the whole Cutler thing going on there. There's people say, it's racism with the Kaepernick thing. It's not really racism. It's nepotism. Adam Gase and Jay Cutler are homeboys from their season in Chicago. Kaepernick doesn't move the ball well anyway, and from what I read an article that he actually had turned down a contract for backup money, $900,000 for one season with a team. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. That could be, as the press says, fake news, but I've read that, and that he's using a lot of this stuff to try to ransom his value up, with teams. That may be true, but it wasn't racism that Cutler got on there. It was nepotism, and they both suck. I mean, Jay Suckler and Colin Kaepernick, I don't like either one of them. I think they both suck as quarterbacks. They're garbage. For those that know, I used to give Kaepernick hell when we played Nevada at Louisiana Tech because we used to be in the WAC with Nevada. And one year, man, they punished us, man, but I was riding that guy the whole game. I was giving him hell. You suck, Kaepernick! Just for the whole game, man, giving him hell. Minnesota, congratulations to the 2 Vikings fans in the league. You beat Buffalo 17-10. Jacksonville got New England 31-24. That will not happen in the regular season, I assure you. Baltimore beat up on Washington 23-3. Talked about San Francisco with Kaepernick. They beat Kansas City 27-17. That is another thing that probably would not happen in the regular season. I can almost guarantee you that. Cincinnati got Tampa 23-12. If Tampa never wins another game, if they keep drafting kickers in the second round and trading up to do it, I'll be happy. Screw that team. Pittsburgh, they beat the Giants 20-12. Cleveland got New Orleans 20-14. Go Pack, go! I guess they beat Philadelphia 24-9. The Jets, they beat Tennessee in just a shootout, 7-3. I mean, what is going on with the Titans? I mean, this is preseason, but the Jets are bad. The Jets are real bad. They might not even win a game this season. Now, they lost to injuries probably the only good player that they had on their team, at least from a fantasy perspective, Quincy Enunwa. He's done for the year. The Jets are real bad. How do you even lose to them? How do you only score 3 points? What is going on? Maybe there's something they're trying to protect their offense and say, we don't have to win this game. I don't know, but that is just doggone embarrassing. Dallas, shockingly, lost to the Crams 13-10. People are saying, oh, Sammy Watkins, he made some comment about he wants to be the home run guy in L.A. Well, yeah, dude. I mean, are you going to just come out and say, hey, you know what, man, I really want to stink it up out here this year. I want to go to L.A. I want to make them regret this trade every day, and I want to be on a different team next year. That's what I'm looking for, man. I doubt that. I mean, yes, of course you want to be the home run guy. You probably want to be the best receiver ever. That's marvelous. And if you can do that, great. Stay healthy, dude. You kind of screwed me on my draft picks last year, and you definitely screwed Packer backers. So, guys, spoiler alert, I won't be drafting Sammy Watkins this year. If you want him, you can have him. He's your problem. Arizona beat Oakland 20-10. That's an interesting matchup there. Arizona, pretty strong offense. They're getting older, yeah, pretty strong offense. Oakland, I've seen some sites picking them to go to the Super Bowl this year. I mean, could that be a potential Super Bowl matchup? I doubt it, but maybe it is. Who knows? Both of them are pretty good teams. They've got a lot of talent on them. We'll see what happens. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm doing kind of a short video here. We will catch up again next week when plenty more other stuff has happened. There'll be plenty more injuries. There'll be suspensions levied. There'll be teams that will expose how crappy some of their players are. And there'll be teams that will have guys emerge. So keep watching. I'm excited about this season. We are literally just 2 weeks away from our draft. So if you're not doing your fantasy mock drafts, I would probably get on that, guys. Good luck this year.